you got married this summer, correct?
I did. Yes, sir.
How's the missus enjoying Stillwater living?
Loves it. She loves it. She
loves
likes it a lot. She's from Oakland, California, so it's a little different for the both of us, but she enjoys it a lot.
Well, very good. Well, I'm happy to hear that. All right, so with that, we will take questions. Our first question is going to come from Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
All right. Well, I had other questions, but now I'm curious about your marriage. How long have y'all been together? Because you're from Reno, right? Where did y'all meet?
Yes, sir. Yep. So we've known each other for a long time, probably since like middle school. Our dads are actually best friends, and so whenever we have like family functions, like whenever they pass through Reno, or whenever we go towards the Northern California, we'd always connect with them, and that's how we met each other. But it didn't really get serious until after high school. So, but we've been together for about like 5 to 6 years before we got married.
Now, you also went on a Mormon mission after high school, correct?
Yes, sir.
How did that impact you?
It impacted me like on a lot of levels. Mainly just like being able to just be independent, not really to rely on others, but just be able to rely on myself, and just to adapt to a lot of environments, and things change, like for instance football. So it really helped me with a lot of things, and I'm not as socially awkward anymore, because I talk to a lot of people out there in Canada where I served. So it's helped me a lot.
What part of Canada were you in?
British Columbia. Like all over, like Vancouver, Victoria Island, just all over British Columbia.
And last thing from me, what was your journey to Oklahoma State? How'd you actually end up here?
So I was being recruited by I went to JUCO right after I'd come back from serving my 2-year mission. Went to Snow College in Utah, and then after the 2 years, I was kind of in that position where it was either, I'm going to keep playing or just hanging up and go help my parents back home. But Joe Bob and Benny Tonga got a hold of me. And so my mindset was whoever offers me first, I was just ready to commit. And so I really enjoyed being connected with those two. Like a year after Snow, now I'm here.
One more thing. What's your wife's name?
Brenda.
Brenda. All right. Thanks, Sione.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next question comes from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, Sione, kind of on those same lines. You mentioned how the mission trip changes you. How does marriage change you being a college athlete?
Man, that's a good question. It's a lot different now. Because I've been here for about a year. I've been here about a year, like not being married and just kind of like on my own. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm married, it's a lot different. Like, basically I got to take things a lot more seriously. So but it puts a big perspective on me, like a lot of pressure on me, just to make sure I make everything, like most out of everything that, like, in every opportunity that comes. So it kind of changes. It changed a lot since I've been here, compared to when I wasn't married to now when I'm married.
Is there a wives club for me? I know Tom Hutton's married. You're married. Mike Scott was married last year.
We're all pretty close. So we might get one going, but all our wives have met already, like at football games and stuff. But don't be surprised if you might see a club going on.
On the football end, man, how do you feel like you've played through these first early games?
Man, this year, because last year I'd gotten hurt, and I'd only played the first couple games, and so I got hurt and I was out for 6 weeks. And so this year, I'm not where I'm wanting to be, but like there's definitely, like, I've been exposed to a lot of things, like just especially with my teammates, being able to learn from them and just it's been a lot different. But for the early games, I definitely can improve on a lot of things, but it's basically just been a lot of fun just getting out there and getting my feet wet. And I'm grateful for this bye week just so I can work on a lot of things, and especially like the little things. But it's good that it's early so I can fix some things now to improve for the future.
Remind us again, what was the injury last year you dealt with?
If you come again, please. Excuse me.
Remind me what the injury was last year.
Oh, it was my MCL. Tore my MCL.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
That for you, you're a first year guy and you're trying to get your footing there. Do you feel like you were a little behind then coming into this season because of that injury?
No, I actually thanks to the COVID-19 and everything, but all that time that we got off, like after spring ball, we didn't have a spring game or anything. I did a lot of like just working on my technique and just trying to get right, because who knew? Like my mindset was just like, all right, we're gonna have a season and we're gonna report back, and we did. So I was blessed to just work with. I have people back home that are also playing football, so we're just training a lot before reporting here this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Our next question comes from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
On the last question, did you say MCL or ACL?
And MCL, M for Mark.
So to kind of piggyback on your last response, how was the conditioning like at the beginning of the season?
How was what?
Conditioning wise?
How was it at the beginning?
Yeah, in terms of your conditioning level.
Man, I was definitely out of shape. I thought I was in good shape coming back, but with Coach Glass, he's pretty old school, and he just we got right into it when we got back, and so he did he did alter some things just because he knows that everyone didn't have opportunities to stay active back home, but we practiced a heavy amount to like they say we're not. Me personally, we're pretty well conditioned. Because all the work that we put in, like we're working since June, so we had a lot of time to get conditioned and to get right. Hence why we're doing so well on some platforms. But other than that, it was bad at first, but I think we're getting somewhere. The noise is cutting now.
All right. Our next question.
The noise. Oh, I think it's good now.
Okay. Our next question is going to come from Ryan Breeden from the Oak Holly. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Sione. So I was curious, what's your guys' overall approach as a team going into the bye week?
Well, it says I've learned something at Division I program. I've come from a JUCO. Like bye week, Coach Gundy and all our coaches, they take it real seriously. When you hear bye week, people think it's like just a week off, but we're putting in a lot of work, and we're just working on a lot of little things, like just technique wise, because we're not perfect and everything. We're not going to be perfect, but we're just trying to tighten down little screws just to work at it. But yeah, we definitely have been putting a lot of work in the past couple of days, and it hasn't been a little vacation. So I hope that answers your question.
And to follow up on that, after the bye week, you guys have got a pretty important stretch of 3 games with going to Baylor and then Iowa State and Texas at home. How do you guys stay focused and ready for that?
Really just, I say just our coaches, and we got a lot of older guys, a lot of guys that returned that are already focused, and it kind of sets the tone for each position group. So everyone's already locked in, like especially like, for example, this bye week, everyone is pretty locked in and focused, and like no one's taking it easy on anyone. So everything's like we're ready for the next 3 weeks. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Thank you, Sione. I appreciate it.
Yo.
All right, Sione, our last question is going to come from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, first things first. How old are you?
24.
24. Okay, you're a couple years older than most probably at this point.
Yeah.
You were talking about the bye week and kind of the approach. I'm curious, is there a bigger emphasis on the safety precautions this week? You guys have done so well keeping the COVID numbers down. Are the coaches emphasizing more, just to be cautious on a week that can kind of get away from that?
Man, I really want to get into that stuff, but like we're definitely staying safe. That's all I gotta say. We're all masked up and everything, and it's been the same rules since day one. Just stay masked, social distance, and everything. But yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Sione, thank you so much for taking the time hanging out with us here.
Hey, Josh.
I do appreciate you. Now, you have really, really emerged as a leader, from day one. It doesn't seem like it's anything that's too big for you. It seems natural.
Yeah, definitely something you got to kind of feel the water out and kind of get to know everybody before you can jump into, especially when you transfer to new schools, because, you have new people that you don't really know or haven't been around. But, yeah, it's been interesting to say the least.
Now, one thing that you probably should know going in is that whenever anyone gets asked about you, one of the first things they say is how well you've adapted and how much you fit in and how the leadership it comes natural for that same reason. So I think everyone views you that way. And so I know sometimes people don't look at themselves necessarily that way, but when you hear it validated over and over again, how big of a difference that you're making, I think it's, just wanted you to at least know that people obviously think very highly of you. So you've made.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that I surely appreciate that, but I look at myself as another guy, just goes out and tries to do my job the best of my ability and get my 111th done. So at the end of the day, I don't really look at myself that way. I just look at myself as, one of the other guys that play football.
I like that. Get your 111th done. I like that. I've never heard that term before. That's a good one. So, hey, our first question for you is going to come from Marshall Levinson from Pokes Report. Go ahead, Marshall.
Hey, Josh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So right now, Pro Football Focus has you graded as the number 1 guard in the Big 12 and number 10 nationally. What can you say about those numbers, or is that what you expected, or what do you think about those numbers, and especially this early in the season with the new offense?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't really pay attention to the statistics or anything like that. I more or less just go out with the same focus, energy, and effort every day in practice. And that's get 1% better, because you never stay the same. You either get better or you get worse. So I tend not to look at that stuff. Just because, some guys let it get to their head and they quit working, or they kind of do this and that, or they don't play as good. So at the end of the day, I just go out and do what I'm supposed to, and let the chips fall where they fall, and whatever happens, happens.
The second question for you is going against that defensive line every day, who is graded as one of the better defensive lines in the country. What are those battles like, whether group or individual, like in practice, that kind of helps you as you go into every Saturday?
Yeah, there's some interesting ones, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, we have each other's back. We get after it each and every day, and that's part of how us as a unit, as an offensive line unit, grows. And that's how we push the defensive line for them as a unit to grow, because you get good on good and you bring out the best of each other every single day. And with that, that's how you continue to get better, and obviously play like, you're capable of each and every day, because you get that game speed and game-like rep in practice.
Thank you, Josh.
Our next question comes from Jason Elmquist from the Stillwater News Press. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Josh, thanks for taking your time. Talk us through the process of deciding to leave West Virginia and ultimately stay in conference and come to Oklahoma State.
I won't really get into anything about West Virginia. But other than I'm thankful for the 4 years that I spent there. It was 4 great years, and I truly appreciate them giving me a chance to go there. But, yeah, my decision to come here to OSU, be perfectly honest with you, I'd only ever been here one time, and that was in 2018 when I was with West Virginia, when that show went on here, when we were ranked in the top 10 and ended up getting beat. But the big thing for me is I have my undergrad in agribusiness management. In OSU here, they have one of the top 10 and top 15 ag schools in the country. But the other big thing that I noticed right off the bat, just from talking on the phone with Coach Gundy, Coach Dickey, Coach Glass, Coach Dunn, and those guys, because I couldn't take a visit. It was on a dead period. So the big thing for me was just building those relationships, and I could tell right away that, they were straight up forward. There wasn't any pulled punches or anything like that. Those are people I wanted to be around. And I knew that with, Coach Dickey's past experience of players that he had and he had developed those guys, and how many years that Coach Glass had in the business, that they obviously had the right people to set me up for the best possible situation for my future.
Going back to that game here in Stillwater, how much of an impact did that have? Seeing them upset a top 15 team, and then obviously the reaction from the fan base afterward.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you just kind of, obviously some of those players aren't here today, but playing a team like that, you can definitely go back to the type of kids that the coaches recruit, that they get to come here, that they're gritty. They never give up. They're hardworking, and those are, the people that I want to be around, because that's how you get the best of each and every person out of every practice, every rep, weight room. It doesn't matter what it is. You push each other every day.
And I'm sure you may have some friends still on the West Virginia team, but how meaningful was that to get that win, just to kind of reinforce that this was probably the right decision for you to come here?
Yeah, it was very meaningful. I enjoyed every second of it. But you can't dwell on that, because there's always, somebody else you have to play the next week that you have to get ready for. As I still talk to a few of those guys, but there's no hard feelings or no bad blood or anything like that. I wish them the best of the luck the rest of the season.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So obviously West Virginia is a well-respected program, won a lot of games and done very well there, but has your Oklahoma State experience been what you hoped it would be to this point?
Oh, it has been everything that I've hoped for, and above and beyond. The relationships and the people that I've met and built here, have been better than most, and some of the relationships that I built at West Virginia, that, I can say that the people that I've met and the relationships I've built here will truly last a lifetime.
That's good to hear. Our next question is going to come from Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Josh, what do you think enabled you to blend in so well here?
I think the biggest thing that has kind of helped me is, I enjoy hard work. My dad, both my parents instilled that into me at a young age, watching them grow up. We didn't always have the best thing or the nicest thing, but they always made sure that my sister and I had what we needed. And seeing that and being around that just really kind of helped shape me into the person I am today. And, being around these guys, they're the same way. They come in every day, they get their work done, they do everything they're supposed to at the best of their ability, at a high rate of speed. And those are the people that I want to be around, because that's what brings out the best in you each day.
Speaking specifically about Jake Springfield, to get thrown into a situation like he has, what have you thought about his performance?
I thought he's done really well. You can't ask for much more out of a guy than that, especially somebody who, obviously I haven't known him as long as what the other guys have, but just coming in the short amount of time that I've known him, he nonstop, he works, busts his butt every practice, every day. And obviously he got rewarded with that when he got put on scholarship, which was a great moment. And obviously, the video you guys saw, you guys could tell that. But yeah, I talked to him. He's talked to me, every once in a while. I was kind of in a similar situation as he was my redshirt freshman year when I was at West Virginia. So I told him, I can relate to what he's going through. And I just told him, you have to lean on the older guys and look to them for advice and listen to the coaches and to see what they have to tell you.
You spoke about going against this defensive line, but I wanted to ask you about Sione in particular, because we just talked to him, obviously. What kind of player is he going against?
I described him as a bowling ball. He's hard to move. He's one of the stronger guys on our team. And obviously, nothing against him, but he's not the tallest, so he's automatically has an advantage of leverage against you. He's going to be a really good player. He's got great leverage, good hands, and it's already hard enough to move him off the ball. So he's only going to continue to get better and stronger and bigger and improve his play.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, we've got time for two more questions. Our next question is going to come from Chris Becker from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Josh. You already played against a lot of these defenses in the league coming from West Virginia. How have you been able to teach those younger guys with that experience who, haven't played much against them?
First of all, I want to say I appreciate your shirt.
Thank you.
No, it's kind of one of those things where you just got to tell them, it's anybody's game any given day. Sometimes the games are hit or miss, or, some teams play up and some teams play down. So it's just one of those things where you have to continually harp that, you just have to come in and do your job. You don't necessarily worry about how a defense is going to game plan you or what their D-line is going to do. That you have to be good at your base fundamentals and your base plays. And as long as you're really good at those, it doesn't matter what a defense does or what a D-line does. At the end of the day, you have to be good at what you're at, and nobody can stop that.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
And our final question is going to come from Ryan Breeden from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey Josh, so on the Our Time series with ESPN Plus, we've seen you really take on a vocal and outspoken leadership role with the team. Is that something that comes by naturally to you?
I wouldn't necessarily say naturally. I think it's one of those things that, Kevin's super quiet. Him and I have a great relationship, but still, even to this day, if you don't talk to him first, more than likely he's not going to say anything to you. Rye's kind of the same way. He's pretty quiet, but, he can be vocal, but he's more the guy that's the same way as Tevin, just shows up, does his job, goes home, puts in his work. I think where, I kind of get mine from is I go back to when I was a redshirt freshman, and I played my first game as a redshirt freshman. WVU was playing Virginia Tech at the Washington Redskins Stadium. It was sold out, super loud. I was nervous, went back to, should I be here? Shouldn't I be here? I had to lean on those guys around me. So I kind of relate to those guys, put myself in their situation and know that I've been there and they have to have somebody to look to. So, sometimes, you don't always want to look to the guys that are quiet. Not that that's a bad thing, but you always want to be able to have somebody that you can look to that that it's going to get you going or get you fired up or that type of thing.
And then also heading into the bye week, you guys are in the top 10 in both the coaches poll and the AP poll. But after the bye week, you guys have got 3 pretty important games coming up, with going on the road to Baylor and then 2 home games with Iowa State and Texas. How do you guys make sure that you stay ready for that and don't let the ranking – kind of you know what I mean?
Right.
Just stay focused.
I think the biggest thing for me is it kind of goes back to I forget what the guy's name was, that said that about Pro Football Focus and that type of thing. But for me, I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. And I know that there's a lot of guys here on the team that's the same way, that they come in and they get their work done. They do what they're supposed to. They do it to their best ability. But for us, the biggest thing is we just have to keep working on our fundamentals and get as good as we can at our base plays. And you just can't let that get to your head, because there's going to be always somebody that tries to knock you off. And the 1 minute that you don't play as good as you can, or the one play here, or the one play there, you could have a game-changing play. And at the end of that game, you look back and it's like, well, if I'd have just done this different or that different or this or that, maybe we wouldn't have lost. So at the end of the day, for me is, I just don't want to have any what ifs at the end of the day. Say, what if I could have done that? Or what if I would have done this? Or if I'd have practiced harder or something like that. So I just come in every day with the same mindset and same attitude to get better.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Josh, thank you so much. We appreciate you hanging out with us here for a little bit.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Take care.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.